Hey guys, I'm Mariana Keller. I'm a senior video producer at NBC News. I work in the short documentary team, and we've just finished producing a short documentary about this guy, Joey Daley. He started something called Molly's Movement. Essentially, he's been documenting his mother's decline into dementia, and it's fascinating to watch. You can find all his videos on YouTube, and if you haven't yet, definitely watch our documentary as well. I'm sure we'll post a link in the comments below. So the reason I'm here today, we're inside Joey's famous Jeep, where a lot of these episodes take place, and it's kind of iconic. If you watch his series, his mom usually sits right where I am, and we're here to do a Q&A.
Yes, a lot of questions.
I'll let you get a word in. How's that?
That's fine. A lot of questions through email and Facebook. And
Awesome. So I want to start with a question that a lot of people have, which is they have a parent, they have a loved one who needs to go into care. It's a really tough decision to make. It's a really tough transition.
With my mother, I feel it was the best case scenario for us. She had a urinary tract infection, so she went into the hospital, and she was so weak she had trouble walking after that. And she went in and was just never able to, fully recover.
I mean, you must have had a conversation with her at some point that you were going to essentially dismantle her home and sort of get rid of her belongings or put them away.
But yeah, we did have that discussion.
What was that conversation like? Yeah.
We told her that, we were going to sell a few of her things, and in return, you would have new things, that you were, so we always try to make something positive out of it, that she's going to have a new chair and, whatever she wants in her house, her apartment, bigger TV, so we kind of eased into it.
Because she gets so many gifts from your community, right?
Yes.
Send her stuff every week?
Yeah, she gets tons of gifts, t-shirts, pictures and little plaques with quotes and things like that.
That's actually one of the deleted scenes that happened when I was here filming you, and it's just so special because she really does treasure everything that people send her. But at the same time, from your perspective, it's like, guys, this is a lot of gifts to handle. Like we don't have storage.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So. And we told people, thank you very much. We have enough gifts at this point, and she can't handle any more in her apartment.
All right. Well, okay. We're gonna jump into a question from Facebook. Betty Waller Montgomery asks, did Molly recognize something wasn't right in the beginning stages? How soon was she diagnosed with Lewy body dementia?
She started, feeling strange and that something was wrong, probably 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Just 2.5 years ago is when things were really bad, and she was finally diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. But yeah, through the whole process, she knew something was going wrong with her mind and her thinking process and her anxiety, and she just couldn't pinpoint what it was. And she was constantly asking for help from myself and my sister, and talking to other family members, in and out of doctors' offices, trying to figure things out. And she would call 911 on occasion, just to get into the emergency room. And, I think she really didn't enjoy, but she felt comfort in having a lot of doctors coming in and having different tests and brain scans.
Trying to figure out
yeah, she was desperate, and at all measures she wanted to, figure it out.
How many doctors did you guys go to?
I would say probably 7 different doctors over the past 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, we always wanted, second opinions, and it seemed like everyone had a different answer, which also kept us going to different doctors.
Right, and you told me at some point that when you actually the first time you got the diagnosis of dementia, you were in disbelief, like you weren't sure that was it.
Yeah, it just so happens the first doctor we went to, he came into the room and he kind of mixed the names up. He called my mother by a different name, so, that kind of upset me. And then he eventually found her records, the brain scan and different things. And with dementia, you can't even tell through, CAT scans or anything like that. But he said she has dementia, and threw the paperwork down and walked out of the room. So he diagnosed it so quickly that I didn't even take him serious, but he was correct. 5 years ago.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And when did you actually believe the diagnosis once you got it again?
2.5 years ago, things were pretty bad.
What does that mean? Like
forgetting, she didn't know how to sort her medication. She was having trouble getting dressed, taking a shower. She could no longer cook meals. So at that point, you realize there's something seriously going wrong here. So, at this point, doctors really just diagnose your current behavior along with your past patterns in behavior, and they, come together and determine it's Lewy body dementia. I think at this point it's pretty easy to understand that her brain is dying. And
how's Molly doing now, actually, since we see her in the doc? Her hair shorter?
Yeah, she is constantly talking about her hair, so we're always getting it cut and styled. But yeah, I mean, she's really declined over the past month. She can no longer, her sentences are really jumbled. I used to, I could figure things out, at least get close to what she was talking about, but right now it's really difficult, and eventually, nothing's going to make sense at all.
And how are you doing?
I keep telling myself I'm going to prepare myself for the next phase, and now I realize it's hard to do that. One phase was when I would drop her off, she would want to go to bed right away. To me, that was new, and I knew that she just didn't even want to stay awake. She was so frustrated.
Wait, she's been taking naps in your house also, more than before, I believe. No?
Yes, yeah, she'll ask to lay down as soon as she gets to my house, so that's a phase where she's going to sleep 16, 18 hours a day, and it's hard to prepare for each phase. It's almost impossible, and it's one of those things you have to live it in order to understand it.
So Sherry Clark also posted a question on Facebook. She said, "Do you remember the first time you became concerned that something was wrong? I'm wondering if I'm headed down the same road with one of my parents." The very first time. I guess we talked about it a little bit in the intro of the doc. That was sort of a question I asked you in the interview, and you described, a situation where your mom had the kids in the car, sort of took a risky, exit into an intersection, and you were like, "Whoa, there's something wrong."
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
There were a lot of things, the sorting of the pills, things that she even learned, or she even forgot how to work her remote. She had trouble going into the guide and deleting different shows, and
I have trouble doing that too.
Oh. You have dementia.
No, but I guess, so even like basic functions of pushing a button or...
Well, yeah. The point was that she's been doing that for years.
Right.
Things that she's been doing forever, she starts to forget, then, obviously, you wonder what's going on with the brain. There's something that's reversing there.
I was actually, really surprised at how many people have watched the doc and commented that they have a loved one in the same situation. I was blown away. You hear the numbers, but when you actually start hearing people's stories that they're living through it also, just really shocked me. One of those people is Jim Dorsey left a question for you. He's going through this now. What do you do when they get angry at you? Has that ever happened with Molly? Has she burst out or been grumpy or?
Yeah, she's been grumpy. At no point is she really lashed out with, a lot of anger. I would use grumpy as a good word for her, but my advice would be just, stay patient and calm, and don't try to correct the behavior. I'm no expert, but what I would do is just try to redirect the anger onto something else. Hey, Dad.
Maybe distract her.
Yeah, look out the window. Look at that squirrel, that bird. Do you want to look at some photos? You want to watch a TV show? Something. But trying to correct behavior is, in my opinion, just makes things worse and frustrates people more that have dementia.
So that's actually a good segue into. It didn't come in the form of a question, but I feel like more in the form of comments. Some people were kind of startled. They saw the documentary. There are scenes from episode 6 of your YouTube video, and that's a scene where we see you asking Molly, who am I? Who are you? Who's my dad? The question or the comment that people have is they feel taken aback that you were kind of grilling your mom a little bit. You were asking her repeatedly sort of questions that she didn't know answers to.
I had no idea that day was going to happen. I wanted to slowly pick at different questions, just ask her different things. I was trying to get her to say that I was her son without me having to ask.
What prompted that, though?
She asked who my father was.
Oh, right.
And
so that started that whole conversation.
Yeah, started the whole conversation. So on the way to the mall, I said, you asked who my father was. I said, you don't know? And she said, yeah, well, I guess I don't. So throughout the day, I just just kept my calm and, kind of blew it off as maybe just a moment where she didn't know what was going on. But as the evening went on, I realized that there's something really wrong here. She may not know who I am. And
that was obviously the first time that happened.
Yes. Yep. And then, at the end of the evening, well, first of all, me drilling her with questions, I started to panic. That's why I asked all those questions. People that say that I was drilling her or asking too many questions, they may not know what it's like to have their mother forget who they are. So, I was kind of desperate at that point. But, and then it eventually just got to the point where I said, who am I? And she said, well, I don't know. And I even showed her a picture at the end of the episode in the nursing home, and she still didn't know who I was. So her not verbally saying who I was, showing her pictures and asking her all the questions, not knowing who my mother was and who my father was, I knew that she didn't know who I was.
All right, so we have a question from Jenny Red Taylor, and she's asking about your mom's medication. In the doc we see when you're sort of putting her to bed, that little cup is just like chock full of pills. And so she's asking you, have any of the medications made a difference in your mom's memory or cognitive abilities?
No. She's on antidepressants and, a few other things, but nothing has helped her. Mind-altering drugs, in my opinion, that mixed with dementia just creates a recipe for more confusion. So the only thing you can do is just moderate the medication to where she's not a zombie, but yet she's not suffering through this process. So it is a huge balance, and it takes a while to figure that out. She goes to a doctor outside of the nursing home, so we really pay attention to the medication.
Right. That's actually one of the deleted scenes. When I first arrived to shoot the documentary, you were upset because there had been a mix-up of your mom's medication. Not a mix-up, but essentially it had been...
there was a
the doses
misunderstanding.
had been altered, right?
Yeah, a misunderstanding between, we don't want anyone messing with her medication except her psychiatrist outside of the nursing home. And there was some confusion there, and some medication was changed, but it's been corrected.
Right. Okay, this is kind of a tough question here. Jackie Ross asks you, do you ever have days where you just can't deal with it anymore? We see a bit of a breakdown in the doc, obviously, but in the video series, you have a smile on your face and you're very patient with her, and it's a lot to handle, I'm sure. Yes,
there are days when Molly's movement becomes too much, or the videos, editing the videos, I have to live it, edit the videos. The group, I get questions through email, like literally hundreds of questions on a daily basis that obviously I can't keep up with. I mean, yeah, that gets rough, and I don't know if I even want to call them breaking points, because who knows how far a breaking point can go. But yeah, I have my days where it's hard to continue with the video series. But as far as visiting my mother and doing my thing with her 3 days a week, 3 days a week, that I never consider quitting. Before this, when you would hear about family members that they never visit their loved ones, going through this kind of made me realize that they're struggling with their own battles.
Right.
So maybe they just can't handle it, and you can't judge those people. You can't judge anyone, for their actions. You don't know what they're going through and what they've been through in the past. So if they can't handle it, they can't handle it. If people can handle, full-time caregiving, which I think is unbelievable, such a sacrifice for that.
Right.
That's great, but just don't judge those people that are not doing as much as you think they should.
All right, so Carrie Ann Hunter asks you, do you ever feel afraid of getting dementia yourself?
No, I don't. Obviously I've thought about it, but I don't worry about it. And what I do is just preventive maintenance. I've always, went to the gym and tried to stay healthy and eat right. And I think those are the things that you can do to ease your mind. And, worrying is not going to do anything. That actually could bring on dementia. There's a lot of different things, depression that can do that, which my mother was depressed a lot in the past. She lost her mother, her father. her sister, all within a few years. She's always been on antidepressants, which are mind-altering drugs. She wasn't very active. She had a lot of anxiety. So those are a lot of things that can, mess with the mind.
I guess a natural question. I've been filming your mom for about 6 months now. So Kathy Leonard Haggard asks, she says, first of all, it's so sad to ask this question, but will you continue to be involved in Molly's movement when our sweet, funny, beautiful Molly is no longer with us on Earth? What's going to happen next?
It's a good question. I can't see myself stopping the movement, but maybe taking an extended break at some point. But I'm really unsure. But I know that I want my mother's legacy to go on forever. The suffering that she's going through, and I say it all the time: the people that have dementia and the people that have passed. I think the world should know that the suffering that they've went through, and this gives my mother's suffering and eventually her death some purpose. So at no point would I ever shut the doors. It will continue to grow.
I love something about the group and what you've created, which is you really want to shed light on the caregivers and how tough it is for them, and what an incredible job they do, and how much it takes to take care of someone who has a disease like this. And you guys even do something in the group which I wasn't able to get to in the doc, which is you pull money together from either t-shirts or other different things that are available connected to Molly's movement, and all that money gets essentially pumped together and put into a night out for a caregiver, which I think is incredible. Yeah,
we've been able to do that 9 times now, where the group kind of selects a person based on their story. Obviously, we would like to send everyone out on a night out, but we can't afford that. So one person is selected. They can go to a dinner, invite someone, nice dinner, a relaxing movie, and I send them the money to do that. Each case is a little bit different. There was a 16-year-old girl that was a caregiver for her grandmother since she was really small, and she won one of the giveaways, and I was talking to her on the phone, and she was crying, saying that she didn't deserve it and that there's other people that do more than she does. So
we have an interesting question here from Lisa Williams. She asks, do you think you deserve some sort of recognition for everything you've done? We certainly think you do. How do you respond to that?
I don't want recognition, but I would like my mother to have recognition along with other people that are, suffering through the disease. I would like to have more media attention, obviously. 5 minutes, 10 minutes on a huge network like NBC, for example, has been, probably several million people have seen the video, and I'm getting a lot of emails and response from that. A lot of people are joining the group, over 1,000 new members each day for the past week. So it helps so much, and people are able to connect in the group and get support. So a few minutes on a network, so if any networks or big networks are watching this, I'll come to you, or you can come to me. Ellen, we're still watching you.
All right. That's actually something interesting that you brought up. It really is incredible to see how the Facebook group sort of works organically. It's a public group on Facebook. You do have to be approved to join, but people just sharing their stories, and then whenever they have questions about how to deal with a loved one with dementia, immediately, like, tens of people will respond, hundreds of people sometimes, with suggestions. This is what worked for me, maybe try this or think about it this way. It's phenomenal. It's really like a self-sustaining group that's grown organically, that has come out of this movement. Did you expect that to happen when you started?
No, I didn't. To go into a group and ask a question about dementia and have answers within 60 seconds of people that have dealt with it. Google isn't even that powerful. You could Google it and it would take you longer to find the answer than going to my group. So it's amazing, and every day people in the group are saying, where have you been? I wish I would have found you when I was struggling with dementia 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So it's pretty amazing.
Tell people how they can connect with you, where they can watch your videos, where they can go from here.
MollysMovement.com has, all the videos, our Instagram, Facebook. So that's where everything is connected in one spot. The YouTube channel is JoJo. You can just type in mother and son dementia, and I think we're the top result. But yeah, we have the YouTube channel and Facebook, the group. There's several ways.
Cool. So molliesmovement.com is where sort of everything lives.
Yes, correct.
All right. So thank you for letting me join you for a ride on your Jeep.
And thank you for the amazing documentary and everything that you and NBC has done for us.
Thanks so much. And you can catch the full documentary right here on our YouTube channel on NBC News. And thank you for watching. That's a wrap.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.